Hi, guys. I'm very excited to introduce you today with Ricardo, who is joining us all the way from Mexico City, the sunny Mexico. And Ricardo is the founder of a branding studio called Branding People, who work with clients internationally. And we are very excited to have him today with us to share his experiences working on branding projects, on creativity, on how is it to run creative business, and anything else that will come naturally during this talk. So welcome, Ricardo. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm super excited to share whatever you guys feel is great to hear and from my perspective, I would love to get the conversation flowing and sharing whatever seems to be great to hear.
Great. So I'm very curious. Of course, Mexico is such a diverse country, and the design is so colorful and rich in sort of aesthetics. So you already come from a culture that has quite a strong personality, right, in design and aesthetics. How is it how do you balance that when you work with clients from abroad who come from different cultures? Do they kind of hire you because they like your particular style, or do you like adapt? Can you share a little bit on that process?
I think that this specific point is like one of the most important because there are many different perspectives to discuss about Mexican design. I would say that mostly for our clients, and also nowadays in the past after COVID, Mexico, like, has like spiked, and every single creative in the world wanted to visit the city. Specifically, specifically talking about Mexico City because Mexico City is a huge.
Yeah.
I believe it's the top 10 of the most populated cities in the world. And when I've been asked in the past about Mexican design, I start by saying that Mexico comes from two different blends, and this is like super cool and quite interesting for creatives because the first thing is that we come from the historical landscape with a lot of native cultures, like very strong cultures, talking about the Aztecs, the pre-Hispanic cultures that have been here for centuries. And those are not nomads. Those I'm talking about like huge cultures. Mexico City back when the Europeans got here in the 16th century, there were 1 million people living in Tenochtitlan back in the day. So only Naples, Tenochtitlan, and another European city that I cannot recall were as big as Mexico City, as Tenochtitlan. So Mexico comes from this blend. I'm talking about the pre-Hispanic cultures that are like super colorful, and we have this old markets and a very strong. How can I say it? I mean, people here lived their life with a lot of. They have very strong cultural feelings, but then the Spaniards came to Mexico, and we are that blend. We come from that blend. From the Europeans, we got education, we got like our social structure from the Europeans, and of course the different cultural insights that we got from them, and then of course we are a native culture. I'm talking about the Mayans, the Aztecs,
Right.
and everything that happened before the Europeans arrived. But then also Mexico. I love to say that that's the blend between the pre-Hispanics and the Spaniards. But then Mexico is also a bridge. Mexico is the bridge between South America, between Latin America. Like the craziness, the cleverness, the color, the colorful cities, and everything is messy and everything happens with no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then also we are very close to the United States, so we have a lot of top commercial trends in the world. The first come to Mexico. So we are this sort of bridge between Latam and North America, and then the blend between the pre-Hispanics and the Spaniards. So that is what makes Mexico so unique in this sort of cultural perspective. But then again, after COVID, and being a city that grows a lot and many things happen. We just actually last week we had a art week, which is becoming one of the most popular art weeks in the world, and people from all over the world is coming to the city. So I believe that clients come to the branding people not only because our design style, because they feel that we as Mexicans kind of own creativity or own, like the full color palette, and we have no constraints, which is kind of true.
True.
And I love to state and to support it. So that is what we come. They come to us, but then again, at the branding people at the studio, we try not to follow a specific design path or a specific design style, which is for us creative studios and branding studios. A lot of them, they try to establish, let's say we're gonna do super minimalistic and ultra aesthetic brands. So they establish a style and they follow it. They follow it on every single project they do. So then you have to have a specific, let's say a boutique hotel in whatever sunny Caribbean beach in Mexico, in order to ask for a very subtle and clean and super minimalistic approach. And then you go to these specific studios. But what we try to do at the branding people is to adapt. So we have like super colorful brandings and then very corporate and boring ones, because our final motto or final objective is to pursue what I believe to be the most important thing behind branding, which is communicating an idea. At the end, design is only a vessel to communicate an idea. So there is no point from my own perspective in having like a super strong and super rigid design style. We rather kind of try to adapt, and of course we have a signature which might be happy brands. I would love to call it that way, but no colorful, no minimalistic ones, no corporate ones, no cool and boring ones. It's just a matter of getting to know your client and then adapt to whatever their design and their communication needs are.
Yes, awesome, great. And in terms of talking about like contemporary design in Mexico, right? So is there any sort of tendencies or patterns do you see that are kind of emerging, or how the whole landscape is shaping up these days?
Oof. That is a tough one because, of course, I would say that definitely there is a line. Also, a line that is kind of is not like super clear and consistent. Once again, due to the mix that we have from on our cultural baseline. So, but nevertheless, architecture such as Barragan, who was one of our top architects in the past century, he drew a line that I think that defines contemporary Mexican contemporary design, not only from a building perspective, but everything is kind of brutalist, but at the same time it's like super colorful. It has been said that Mexicans and of course Latinos in general, we own colors because our dish. We were mentioning this before in kick off this meeting. We are in January and this is like a beautiful sunny Friday. So we have like a very vivid color palettes all around us. And I would say that some artists in Latin America, of course in Mexico, but in the rest of Latin America too, they have they believe they should like pursue this colorful scenarios from paintings to buildings to graphic design. And I would say that might be, it's not a rule, but that is something that you see all over the place. And then, of course, we are kind of reinventing. Maybe this is the word, the proper word. We are reinventing what design was back in a couple of centuries ago. So, like using the same. I'm talking about objects, maybe using the very same materials with new approaches and fresher approaches. And that is what, from my understanding, constitutes today's design ecosystem in Mexico, what we can call contemporary design in Mexico. Once again, it's a mix. It's colorful. It's funny. It's brutalist.
Right.
That might be it.
Lots of characters, strong
A lot of
characters. Yes, I love it. And of course, your main line of work, the way you serve clients, is branding, right? And we talked that you work with clients from different geographical regions. So I'm very curious, how do you see that um, the way the brands want to express and communicate with their audiences, how is that changing, let's say, these days in comparison to what it was 5 years ago, for example? Where do you think, what are brands looking for? And where do they put an accent in how they want to communicate or present themselves so they engage people?
Okay, I would say there are like two main trends. So I've been doing this for 13 years. And there
Hmm.
is also a plot twist in this story because I mean I run a design studio. I've been running it for 13 years since 2012, but I am not a designer myself. I am a marketer. I am a marketer. I have a master's degree in business innovation. So my approach is another approach. I mean, of course, I do visit creative process at the studio, and I've been doing this for many years. I don't want to say I'm an expert in doing that, but I'm very close to creative processes. So I've seen those processes evolving throughout these 13 years. So as you were saying, and of course, now the most important thing is 2025, there are no boundaries. So you can have a Chinese amazing minimalistic brand in our Mexican markets. Let's talk about supplement brands, for instance. You
Hmm.
can go, you as a Mexican brand, you may be maybe competing with Chinese brands, with Asian brands, with American brands. So
Right.
nothing is, of course, there are still market niches, but at the end, the market is like super open. So if most of those guys are trying to, you can either have, okay, let's follow the leader. Okay, let's follow the leader. We have a couple of references in mind. Let's say, okay, we are a Saudi supplement brand
Hmm.
targeting the Middle Eastern market. Okay,
Hmm.
so we have this reference, which is an American brand that
Right.
is minimalistic and sleek, and we love it. Then we see popping different brands all over the world with the same aesthetics. So
Hmm.
we try to cut aside some of these very relevant questions with aligning with our clients, because at the
Right.
end what we want to do is like pushing their businesses objectives. So okay, let's see, we have this guys doing the same thing out there in China, in the States. So do we want to follow that? Everything has been already created. That is a
Hmm.
circle, so nothing
Right.
is really new. So we either follow like the business leaders, or we try to
Hmm.
blend and to put something new together. And that is what I would say that creativity really stretches from my
Hmm.
perspective, because it's only a matter of understanding what is the business objective, and then you have unlimited possibilities to either follow something that has been already successful out there, or building something from scratch and trying to do more hands-on processes. That is
Hmm.
that is when creativity can, like, comes
Right.
to maybe to explain it.
Yes. And where do clients usually decide to go? The ones that you end up working with? Are there a lot that dare to take the risk?
Most of them, I would say, most of them are, let's say, we work a lot with startups, and working with startups is it's both super fun and also kind of complicated, because when you work with founders at let's say a fintech or a whatever tech startup, they have been pushing their businesses for, let's say, 3 to 5 years, so they kind of own the business from a personal perspective. So they are like super attached to the initial brandings. Okay, so this is another relevant thing to mention. When these sort of startups come to us, is because they have already validated like their business model. So they
Mhm.
need their brand to be reinvented, and
Right.
more than reinvented, to be like more solid and more cohesive. Okay, so
Got it. Yeah.
building more assets. So it could
Right.
be like prepared to expand and to really evolve, so that
Mhm.
they 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 get in contact with us and say, okay, this is our brand, we love it. we have been pushing this brand for 5 years. So then you are not only working with brands, but you are working with people behind those brands that are in love with those brands. So it's a matter of kind of have, having them feeling that they are closing to something they feel attached to, but at the end, that is gonna solve ultimately the most important things to solve the business and the communication issues or objectives. So,
Right, right.
so most of our clients, given that they are like so into the process, they ended up like, okay, guys, you are here to help us pushing the brand into the next level, but we have some very strong beliefs. Let's follow those. But then again, you have some other clients that are either too busy or either too naive, or they don't even want to get involved in this process. They say, okay, guys, do your best. We hire you because we trust you, we believe in you. So whatever you came up with, we're gonna be okay because we trust you. Those are like the two scenarios.
So the mission is really most of the time to help the brand level up, right? And create more cohesiveness, more consistency, and in that way to connect with their audiences better and even attract new customers as a result of that, isn't it?
I would say that there are like three different levels of branding from my experience. When you work with new startups, they're pushing their MVPs. Then my thesis of my master's was I call it MVB, which is minimal viable brand. So this is our baseline branding pack is when we create something like in a very lean process, just to try and test a business model. Then we hit these guys,
Love it.
the startups that okay, after 5 years in the market, they know they are for real, so they need to you have like a how can I say, like stronger design position.
Yeah.
And then we shot this like middle to big companies who have been in the market for 35 years or 45 years, traditional brands, traditional corporate brands. So they can do us saying, okay, guys, I am the new CEO, or I am the son of, like this is a thing that has been flowing through generations. So I want to do something new. I wanna reposition our brand, and that is another rebranding process. So it's fun to work with this different clients because they'll have different perspectives and different experiences. So some of those are new guys in the business, and some of those have been there for many years. So
Yeah. And how complicated, not how complicated, but so I guess more established companies like moving things around and introducing new ideas all probably takes quite a bit of time, isn't it? With them like already.
and then most of our guys are young people, right? Like startups doing fintechs. That's some number of that's cool people that we get along with. They feel comfortable having a guy like me presenting their brand, someone from my team. But then it has happened in the past when we have rebranded like super rigid law firms, like big law firms, all like suited up. And then I came into the room on the Monday, like partner session, and they were like, "Who is this hipster with tattoos telling me what should I adopt from our new rebranding? What is rebranding?" So you need to be flexible enough to kind of control yourself, and then both, but they should, like be open to modify or to wait for the brands to evolve. Every brand, regardless, needs to evolve.
Right, exactly. And so how does the process work within the agency, if you don't mind sharing a few things? So you have the team that kind of takes care of all the research implementation, and you kind of oversee the process based on to align things with what the client is expecting, or
So
works some similar way?
it's not that I don't mind sharing. I love sharing because I think that we should be doing this from in our position. And then of course this is up to, I mean, the perception of whoever gets to understand how we work might be different. because we have a very solid process. Okay, so at the studio, we believe that processes are the most important thing of all. And myself being not a designer, I think that I have been pushing following the strict processes ABC. But for the branding people, for us, our kind of final motto or final objective is to have everything we do, everything the brand we touch must follow these three main concepts. It should be aesthetic, which is I would say this is the easiest one, because when you get great talent, aesthetic would come with their talent. Then it needs to be functional. Okay, it needs to work in like tiny proportions, and then on big proportions too. And so it needs to be, let's say, if it's gonna be like a brand that is gonna lead in digital environments, it should be ready for digital environments. Rather than something that a corporate brand with tons of stationary assets, the brand should be ready to be printed regardless. So that is functionality. But from my perspective, the most important one is eloquence. So the eloquence is the ability of a brand to transmit a message from the sender to the audience through a specific communication channel. So everything you do should be aesthetic, functional, and eloquent. And then when we see our process from a deeper perspective, let's say that I think that we split it into three different phases. The first being brand analysis. Okay, this is when we gonna like dig super deep into our clients' branding ecosystem, getting to know, super important, their business objective. Why are they trying to sell? What are they selling? How are they selling it? And why are they selling it? It could be an idea or a product. Then how is their competitive landscape looking like? Now you can compete, or you can have a Chinese or an American references regardless of where you located. So we really want that phase to understand. So what is the competitive landscape? What are the other guys or the other competitors doing out there? Should we follow them, or should we create our own path? Okay, of course, that is super important. And also getting to know the client, getting to know most of the times the founders behind those startups. What are they thinking? How are they thinking of their businesses? Then we get to know the audience, of course. Like from a wider to a closer perspective. Who are we targeting? So what are their motivations? What are their needs? Then we have a couple of sessions here. We have a discovery meeting just to align. And then, of course, at our end, we have a VR director, the creative director, the project manager, some of the key people from the studio comes in, and then we define who's going to be handling the project from a design perspective. I'm talking about the senior designers in the team. So then we have a discovery meeting. We have a creative workshop. This is the second meeting where we're going to be showcasing. After we showcase our understanding of the branding ecosystem, the competitive landscape, the audience, finally we put together like two different paths that we may follow with mood boards before we even jump into the graphic system. So then we get feedback from the client, we get insight from the client, we select most of the time we select the path right in the meeting, or we get feedback on some adjustments. And then after 1 month of work, 1 month and a half, we come with what we call like the most important milestone in our process, which is the logotype and master graphic proposal. And this is super important because at the studio, we have been doing it for 8 years. We, instead of putting together like, let's say 5 or 10 different logotypes for our client to decide, we try to avoid what we call logocentrism. So we rather push design systems. So you're gonna have
love that. Yes, love that.
At a full, cohesive, consistent design system with a defined color palette, with different iconographic elements and illustration if needed. And what we do is at the end, okay, so after the brand audit, your two first meetings, we have the brand narrative. Of course, this is super, I forgot to mention this before, but this is super important. The slogan, manifesto, concept, all the rational side of the brand. And at the end, you have the design system. So with the design system, what we do is we push our we call it internal champion. Our champion is the variation that we think aligns with the business objectives and that also has already checked the three boxes: aesthetics, functionality, eloquence. And we put together a set of 10 to 15 brand visualizations. So for our clients to understand that their brand is not going to be only the logo and the color palette, but the full system. So if we are branding a coffee shop, we'll be instantly putting together a set of packaging visualizations. So packaging, web design, social media, of course, logotype and logotype variant. So that is, and then of course we have the feedback sessions. We ended up, adjusting the proposal. This window of opportunities before our clients say, okay, let's redo the whole thing because I don't like it. We try to avoid those, but at the end, this is design, and design is a matter of personal perspective. So most of the times, it's just okay. I love it. Just give me another logotype, or let's adjust the color palette. But if needed, we can redo the whole process and prepare something from scratch.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're stressing the brand narrative and design as a whole system, right? So because I think it all needs to work as a whole rather than sometimes the clients used to look at the logo and then they don't see the brand, but the logo is not the brand, right? So yes, you need to explain them that there is this whole big picture. But so I understand that you're taking a very strategic and commercial really point of view in your process, right? So really, how do you make the brand stand out in the market through branding, right? And really sell more, right? So that's the real results that you would deliver then to clients, sort of that they will get after hiring your studio. So that makes total sense. And just in terms of like these days, where do you, from your experience, do the brands put the most accent, with all the like social media, ChatGPT, and, like things changing a lot and being very busy in terms of what type of communication channels we have and things like that. Can you share some insights on what do you think like the future brand really needs to think about and pay attention to so that it stays in the market and not just stays but also kind of make some new moves and make some waves in its industry?
I think that this is a very tough question because at the end we cannot predict the future.
Right.
And new channels will be coming. TikTok wasn't a thing 5 years ago, and now it is like a super relevant channel for a specific target audience. Also, this is so. What you want to do as a brand is first, most importantly, you need to understand who are you targeting, who are you communicating with, because from that you have given that there. And because when we say, okay, so what are the trends in the business industry or in the communication? How can we communicate a brand better? Because this is new and some other channels will come up. But you can not every channel is meant to work with every brand. So the right step should be to really understand, to do the analysis part and to understand who is our brand targeting, and then what are the proper channels. So from that it comes, I would say that is when branding, well, not when branding, with marketing jumps in, because branding defines the core elements of a business, talking from a narrative to design perspective, and branding should also deliver a very cohesive and coherent story. I mean, storytelling, as we were mentioning before, is a part of branding, but that defining the right channels and being prepared for them for what's coming next is more a research. I would say research / marketing thing or marketing task. Defining where you're communicating now, or which channels are you gonna be selecting, and then once again, if you is isn't the same if you're doing a coffee shop in Abu Dhabi than a law firm in Houston.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean,
yes, of course.
it's super different. So, but then this is also relevant. You were mentioning before ChatGPT and AI and so on. So that is something that I believe is like super relevant for any creative across the
Yes.
world, because there is a certainty that these new tools are gonna be all over the place in the following years, and we cannot say, okay, no, I am a great designer and this is not going to be part of my, this is not going to interfere with my business, but it will, definitely it will. So what we are actually, this 2025, we will rebrand very soon. This is going to be like our third rebranding at the studio. And within all the stuff that we are planning for this year, one of the most important departments at the studio is trying to innovate, to be always one step ahead, and having these new tools become friends rather than enemies. So how can we as creatives use these new technologies and these new AI tools just in our
Advantage. Yeah.
in our advantage
Yeah.
for to make processes simpler and smoother and leaner, and maybe have, because at the end you're gonna, from my understanding, you want to understand how these tools work, and their ADCs, but then using them from a business perspective, maybe you can minimize the time you spend in certain processes and use it into your advantage, and for the project, for the branding project to be more cohesive and more consistent. So I think being smart about the way you use your time.
Yes, yes, very, very well said. So when you mentioned before that, like in terms of deciding what channels for the brand to communicate through and how to do that, and that's definitely being a marketing bit. So your studio doesn't get involved in that, right?
No,
Okay.
we do the branding, and then we have actually, this is new too. We have another a sort of design subscription model that we only offer to the client, the brands that we have designed. So
Okay.
because when startups are out there, they say, okay, my brand is beautiful. Now I need to test it. Now I need to try it out there. So I need to hire a designer who's capable of following what the design studio has created. So now we sell the sort of, okay, we're gonna follow the process with you, and I'll help you afterwards, after the brand has been delivered, on the creation of different design elements, assets.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess once they clarify then what they need for their communication needs, then that's when they can circle back to you asking, right, for new.
Yeah. And also this is super relevant for most of our clients. I mean, not established ones. These guys, they're the big corporates that have been in the market for 40 years or 50 years. But most of the other guys, the startups, whatever startup, this is like super fun, because you initiate the process, let's say in February, and then you deliver in July. Maybe by August, the business has already changed somehow.
Yeah.
So, because you don't, I mean, real those businesses, or those at least their core aviations, they mutate all the way, and every single day. So maybe what we create for them in July, it needs to be adjusted or redefined or tweaked.
Yeah.
The new, like a end of the year approach, and then it will be.
Yeah, got it. So as an entrepreneur, right, as a business person, and as you growing the agency, the studio, what were like one biggest struggle, let's say, that you've had that it really took a while to overcome in actually, building your team and getting to where you are right now? Because from what I'm hearing, it's very clear of how you guys work. Of course, you've been in the industry now for a while. So you've got your kitchen already set in order. So, but sort of what were the biggest struggle that you've had to overcome in order to get to where you are right now?
Many
Many.
yes. I mean, from because when you are like when you have the thing in your hands, you need to be like super responsive. There's just super responsive, super active, super intense. I happen to be ultra intense. So and then the thing is that you know nothing about businesses. Well, regardless of a creative business, you know nothing about businesses. I mean, I started the studio when I was 22 years old. I was finalizing my last semester of my marketing degree, so with no idea whatsoever of life or business or nothing. So when you jump in, this I would say this is the crucial thing. It's a matter of jumping into right into the problem, right into the situations. Because when running a design studio or whatever business, I don't want to say design studio only, when running a business, you encounter different difficulties from throughout the process. From day one, you need to build up a company, like a thing. So you know nothing. Then you have to you start putting together contract drafts. So you need to be very close to. I'll say this is a people thing or nothing at all. So from I need to put together a contract. I'm gonna call my ex roommate who is a lawyer, and I'm gonna ask him for advice. And then the accountants and the marketing guys for your digital campaigns. And then but I need someone who helped me grow in the team in specific areas that I know nothing about. It's a matter of confronting problems from a very closer perspective, being always active, and then at the end, I said it before, but I love processes. So I believe in order to have something that consistent enough to survive in because at the end any business is gonna come against many difficulties from having no clients to having the task to build a strong portfolio to having people running out of your team because you don't even know why, and needing to hire some new staff. So everything is a mess. So you need to put the first thing is you need to put things in order, follow processes, start building processes in order to afterwards you can follow them. So being open, being active, being intense, being relentless, and most importantly, being always there because the team is gonna need you at some point. The clients are gonna need you. I would say the passion is also super important, and it's a key element of, from my perspective, my humble perspective, once again.
That kept you going, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Great. So what do you see as your next big dream that you'd love to get to as your next milestone?
So we have something in mind. We truly want to be we want to be the best design studio in Latin America in 5 years from now. So that is like our real objective. And would say the best design studio in Latin America. I think that we will definitely, jumping into the next level, and talking about American studios, European studios, and all the top studios in the world. This is gonna take time. This is gonna take a lot of effort from every key element of the studio. That is what I have in mind. That is why we are in the middle of this rebranding process, because we need to uplift our branding to the next level, into the next step. And then I think that for the branding people, we'll need to expand into different business. I'm gonna say different business lines. Maybe opening a coffee shop just for creators who come into the city. I want to be surrounded by other creatives from the coffee shop being aside from our office, and then maybe opening, I don't know, like we have been discussing many internal ideas, maybe putting together a sort of a marketplace of digital assets and digital templates. We have created tons of assets in these 13 years. So why don't we kind of create a line? Yeah. So there are many things to come. I think that evolution is it's something that and change. The only constant thing in life is change. You need to be open for change.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you're not afraid of it and really kind of confront it when it comes. Yeah, exactly. So I have as a design studio, of course, like staying creative and staying inspired is also a big thing of doing interesting work, right? Of course, I understand that you as an entrepreneur, for your primary goals is kind of getting the clients in, but it's also delivering interesting work at the end of the day, right? So what are the processes or routines or anything that you kind of do in the studio that keeps you fresh and inspired and that sort of thing? Just keeps the juice going.
Because at the end, inspiration is a subjective thing. It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing. And then there are days where you're like super inspired, and you say, okay, please bring me all the brandings. I'm talking from maybe a designer might be feeling like super strong and okay, capable of solving anything. But there are some other darker days when they are like hell, by their surrounding. So I think that once again, from my personal point of view, creativity comes from applying the right processes and putting the right pieces together, but also by being open to new flavors and new ideas and new sounds and from once again, as I see it, I'm talking about myself. I love traveling. I love getting to know new cultures, new stuff, new ways of seeing the world from different perspectives, and that is quite relevant. So I say that we happen to go only a couple of days of the week to the studio. It's like a sort of a couple of days of to the office. I mean. So those days should be funny days, should be the days when we have all the creative meetings and then we have the designers presenting how they are envisioning their own brandings. And we try to be happy, we try to listen to good music, having at least a sort of cool environment, good time. And that is when we get pushed, but at the end, once again, it's a matter of the designer to come, like to jump into the problem, right into it, regardless of their being at their peak or not. So,
Do you most of
for myself, I love traveling. With my wife, who is also a designer of the studio, Anna. So we travel, we see the world from different. Actually, if you are in Hong Kong, on the same moment, maybe I'm seeing something that she's not. So once again, it's a personal thing.
Yeah, of course. And that's the beauty of it, is to appreciate these different points of view, isn't it?
We always all get inspiration from different places.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Very interesting. So I guess the conclusion is just to create an environment, just create space in your day-to-day life, right? That enables you to do other things, enables you to have fun, to leave space. So it's not just work. And
It's trying to do the proper mix for it to become a creative melting pot. At the end, that's what you want to push. Being honest, it doesn't happen all the time. But you need to at least try to put the key elements together that when they are blended, they are a sort of a good environment for creativity to grow.
Yes. Awesome. So the last question, If you could give one advice to somebody who is thinking of starting a creative business in particular, a design studio, any kind of design, because that design is broad disciplines, what would you give?
Wow, this is gonna be a very personal one. Everything that I want to do the full disclosure. Everything that I say is only my interpretation of life and the way I see the world. So you were saying a creative business, okay?
Yeah,
Because
creative business where creativity is at the core.
the business part of things.
Yes.
So for a creative studio, for a studio like the branding people to grow and to to perish and to really keep going regardless of the out world and the economical environment. You need to, of course, push your internal creativity and the processes that I was saying before, but also you need to see the business side of things. So if you want to keep the studio living for 10 years, you will need to keep the money flowing and organized and having a very solid, or at least trying to have a solid, whatever solid means, a solid structure in order to keep things moving. Otherwise, you could be like I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. You could be like super creative and having the best process to do branding, but maybe your studio lasts a couple of years only because of the economics of the thing. So of course, keep an eye on creativity, keep an open mind to go against whatever creative issue that you're gonna come across. But don't forget about having a structured business idea, different departments. Everything happens for a reason, and you cannot lead a design studio trying to create an outstanding firm if you don't see the business side of things, because that is the fuel at the end. That is the fuel. Of course, creativity is what you sell, but the fuel is the business approach. I am being super cold. I am being maybe more a marketing guy than a designer guy. But this is the way.
This is the reality. This is the reality. I think you need to know how to sell creativity, right? And to make the business work financially, because if you can't, there's no business.
And then the fun part, believe me, it will come along, and you will enjoy it, and you will have time to visit creative processes, and you will enjoy the outcomes, and you will have good clients and bad clients. And once again, you need to be there. You need to be there, leading the studio or pushing. Another very important thing, and this is more a creative insight: push your portfolio. Push your portfolio. Portfolio is everything. Portfolio is everything. It has been for us. We have been changing the way we envision our portfolio to grow throughout the years. But having a portfolio, a solid portfolio with many projects, we might be branding around 40 to 50 products a year, more or less. So whenever we come to a new client, let's say a coffee shop in Abu Dhabi, okay, we have already branded 10 other coffee-related pants. Here you have them. Okay. Now I trust you. So because from experience, you will get clients to believe in you because they know you have already been against similar issues or similar problems in the past. And so whatever, if you're starting a branding agency, brand whatever you want to brand. Brand your father, like a hospital or your cousin's butcher shop, whatever. I mean, brand everything and anything you can, so you can have a strong portfolio, and with your portfolio, more clients will come down your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ricardo, for such great practical tips sharing time. I think that really a lot of creatives and a lot of designers really, or people who are starting creative businesses, even like going to a more entrepreneurship route, they really need to hear this. So I hope those of you that were watching and listening to us really had some great takeaways. And of course, visit Ricardo Studio's website, which you'll find in the comments. And if we'll be in Mexico City, we'll give you.
Gus, I would love to host you and make you live the authentic experience. You're gonna enjoy it a lot. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure. Thanks for real.
I wish you all the best. I think you're very ambitious. You know where you're going. So being in the top league, right, as the next milestone is definitely on the way.
Indeed. Muchas gracias. I'll be here. Thank you very much.